Okay, so a bit of another update on the update. I wanted to do like a complete project, right, rather than just doing little bits and pieces. So churches are pretty good because no one goes to church. I'm sorry. Well, maybe on Sundays and weddings, but you don't get hassled by the public generally. Or, you might obviously get the church warden or the vicar or whatever wondering what you're doing, and that would be the perfect opportunity to say, oh, do you want a roof inspection, because we've got no roof here and I've got a drone and I could film the roof and whatever, and then we'd have a complete model. But as it is, this was just using the well, I'm going to call it the Weirdo Magnet 2, which is very much like the Weirdo Magnet 1, apart from, as I have 6 GoPros, what I thought I would do is I put, in the previous Weirdo Magnet 1, there was the 4 GoPros round in the square around the base of the 360 camera. So what I've done is I've 3D printed another bracket, very much like the one that's holding the 4 GoPros, and instead put 3 GoPros, and then about a meter below, and in the next stage of the light stand, put another 3 GoPros, so you would have effectively 2 pairs. Well, sorry, 3 pairs of GoPros all pointing in the same direction. So two pointing north, 2 pointing south, 2 pointing no, sorry, yeah, 2 pointing east or something. What I would do is I would, where there was no cameras pointing south, let's say, that would be where I would hold the stick, so I wouldn't be in the photos. So I could use all the photos, and it came out with this really great model. I mean, there was initial, you have to import all the photos into the one. Initially I dragged them in, and they're all in their separate, each GoPro's own folder, but it didn't work. They all have to. Although they can be there, when you import them, you have to make sure you import them all into the same little folder within Metashape, so that it processes them all together. And anyway, let me put the cameras on just so you can see what the craziness was. So this took about a couple of minutes to walk around the site with this sort of very particular. Well, you should be able to see if I zoom in close enough. You'll see how I arranged the cameras. So basically, I had my light stand with the 360 camera on the top, and then I seems to have resolved it slightly differently. Yeah, oh, that was it. I did get one of the cameras was out of sync, so that's why it's slightly this one here. When this one, if you can see, is shifted back because it was the app didn't pair to all the cameras, and I saw that it missed one, so I just fired that one, set that one off. So that was slightly out of sync, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it did a pretty good job. I mean, it's probably when let's just put switch the textures off. Oh, it takes a while to. The main problem I was having was the amount of polygons. When I saved this out in OBJ, and I've never had such a big OBJ. It was like a 27 gigabyte OBJ. It was insane, and then you can see why it's insane because there's so much detail. It's super nuts, super crazy. Would you think, oh, that's great, got a super detail, but you can't load it into anything. I couldn't even load it into ZBrush, which I thought was like, crikey, if I can't load it into ZBrush, how? So what I was thinking is maybe I could just spit it out in chunks or whatever. But invariably, what I'm going to do, I think, is do a lower res one. This was set at ultra high, the highest setting it would go, because I was curious to see how much detail we could get. And you can see it's pretty. I don't think I've ever had a photogrammetry model come out as well as this, using this technique of just walking around with a stick with a load of GoPros and a 360 camera stuck on the top. I mean, it's really done an amazing job. And yeah, this, like I say, yeah, this is probably just it's so the crisp. But the problem is, although it's done a great job, I can't seem to open this. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was about 27 gigabyte OBJ, and it's just like, that's just crazy. So I did set it at medium, and it tend to a 7 gigabyte OBJ, which you can load into. I still haven't probably in ZBrush, which I never had before, but I managed to load it into Blender. I did try and edit it, which is not a good idea. probably best to go straight to the retopo. But I wanted to try and cut out because you get all these floating pieces, little islands and stuff that you're not really gonna need. But there was I also avoided putting the colours that you see on the model are from the vertex. It's actually the geometry. There's no UVs on this. This is all vertex shaded, just because the geometry it's so dense. But what my plan is to retopo the medium res one, and then bake it with to bring the retopo into here and bake it with a high res. But this is all this is quite insane how detailed it is. Yeah, this is all a vertex color map. So you can use that to transfer. It's if you don't have the resolution, as you can see over here, it gets more low res. It just turns into a blurry mess. But where there's super dense geometry, where the cameras are really close, you get loads of detail. But I still probably prefer to, I say, export our retopology mesh. I'm not going to do it with the church model because it's just like there's so many trees, and I'm going to go for a completely urban environment where there's hopefully less of this sort of tree issue. But it's captured the. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but it's. I don't think I want to do a natural urban environment. But I thought it was worth showing you how good this method can be. I mean, I never expected it to be as good as this, to be honest. Let's just switch the shade mode. Like I say, there is this issue. This is a super high res model, so yeah, that's the problem. So then the next tip I would say is only do one building or one block at a time. I'm even thinking about changing the cameras to do every second as opposed to every half a second, and do the and the same for the 360 to cut down. There's over 3,726 images, so loads of images. This I left this going overnight, but the initial the medium res one, in all I think took about like 3 or 4 hours to process. So, but yeah, just like switch cameras off. I mean, it's sort of it's quite insane how what a great job it's done. So there, this is definitely becoming more and more apparent a usable technique. You can see at the top here where the GoPros weren't pointing up and it's just relying on the 360. There's no resolution there. And I keep buying cameras. I have a bit of a gear problem in terms of, but just keeping, yeah. I mean, I do. I'm thinking about getting. I was thinking about getting a new high-res 360 camera, but the problem is, I mean, what I like about this system is it's very. You just turn the cameras on and just double check that they're all on the right settings, and just go walk around, and you don't have to think too much. But the problem is this wouldn't work on the interior spaces because you need to have set the GoPros to the night shot mode, which would then allow you to save the pictures of RAW and have more dynamic range and less noise. And in a similar way with the 360 camera, it's a similar deal. But then you basically have to use the light stand as an actual stand, and then trigger the cameras with your phone app or a remote. And once it's done, and so and I think like if I was looking at I think it was the Ricoh Theta X, which is like can do 60, can do quite high res. I mean, I'm just curious to see how well I can do interior spaces. I mean, the problem with interior spaces, well, if you I mean, my house has just got like I guess magnolia wall paint color, white blank walls with the odd painting here and there. So I think it would struggle. That's always a challenge. If you've got like wallpaper, it'd be fine, I guess. But just white walls, it's going to always be problematic doing the photogrammetry. I think interior spaces, I've yet to really get that to work. So that's more of a case of going for the LiDAR scanners at that point, I think, or like Matterport or something. But yeah, I thought I'd say give you an update how. I mean, it's got even the sort of. I mean, you can see where the resolution drops away, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I was just like really impressed how well it worked. Albeit that the model it's difficult to use. you can only really use it at this sort of resolution. You can only if you export it out in chunks, or as I say, my plan is to export the medium or the high. I think not. This is ultra high. The high. I can't remember if it was high or medium. I had it set to, and retopo that and bring that, but do the bacon here because then we'll get all the on the high res model. But you can see we've got all this junk that we get, and this it does have Metashape does have cleanup geometry tools, but they're quite limited. I don't think it has one for loose geometry because what the main thing is I want to get rid of all these floating chunks because they just like take up just yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So anyway, that's it's just I thought I'd say show another win of a sort. Although as I say, the problem with the tree is the trees really, because all these if it wanted to go in a game, all these that would have to replace with proper speed tree or something, I guess. But you might be able to see the trunks or something, so have some idea where to place the sort of speed tree stuff. Anyway, that's it. I just thought. Yeah, another update. But yeah, this is so. As I say, the main difference being in this setup is using the idea of having shooting in pairs. So two GoPros facing in one axis, and then 90 degrees two GoPros facing in another axis, spread a meter apart, above and below each other. And then have the 360 camera on top. Like I say, if I show you the thing, you can see get a rough idea of what the Weirdo Magnet Mark II, in terms of how the cameras have been arranged. So that seems to do a pretty good job. Yeah, I'll stop the video, I think.